Media relations and outreach. Most people think media outreach is a numbers game. Send enough pitches to enough journalists and eventually someone bites. That's not how it works, and if you've tried it, you already know. Real media relations is a precision game. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do media outreach the right way, how to build a journalist list, how to write a pitch that gets opened, and when it makes sense to hire a media relations specialist versus doing it yourself. Before we get into tactics, let's answer a question I get all the time. What's the difference between PR and media relations? They're related, but it's not the same thing. With public relations, PR, getting you in the media, helping to manage your reputation in the media, managing the perception of your company, investors, all those things. The goal is brand reputation, visibility, where you are literally controlling the narrative. The tactics are press releases, getting you involved in events, managing crisis communications, looking for opportunities for you to sponsor, etc. Who does it is a PR agency or in-house communications team. The measurement is a share of voice, the sentiment, and brand awareness. Media relations is a narrow focus, focused on journalists and editors specifically. The goal is earn media coverage and press placements. The tactics are pitching, relationship building, exclusives, and embargoes. Who does it? It's a media relations specialist or a dedicated PR agency. The measurement for this is focused on placements, media impressions, outlet tier, is it national, is it local? PR is the full picture, reputation, narrative, crisis, community. Media relations is one lane of PR, but it's the lane most companies obsess over because it's where the visible results live. A placement in TechCrunch or Forbes is media relations at work. Hiring a media outreach agency usually means you're specifically buying that journalist's access and pitching expertise. So let's talk about how to build your list of journalists. The foundation of any media outreach program is a quality journalist list, knowing who you want to reach out to and having right email address, right names, and right phone numbers. And it doesn't mean just to build a list of 500 names from a database. It's 20 to 50 journalists who cover your niche, who have written about similar companies like yours in the last 90 days, and whose readers are people you want to reach. How you do this is you can use different services to build a list. You can Google your competitors' press coverage to figure out who wrote the articles. You can search your target outlet and category keyword to find the bylines. You can check journalists on X and LinkedIn bios, who they write for, and the beat is usually listed. And then also you should read the last 5 articles from any journalist before you pitch them. If you're running a serious media outreach program at scale, you'll eventually want a journalist database. And here are the different tools that you can compare to each other as well. There's Muck Rack. What it does is it does searching of journalists. You can track your pitching, media monitoring. It's best for mid-market to enterprise companies. Cost is $4,000 to $10,000 a year. Cision, largest database, press release distribution and analytics, $7,500 to $20,000 a year. This is for enterprise agencies. Prowly, that is a media database, CRM, and press room. That is $2,580 to $6,000 a year, and that is best for startups and small businesses. Hero, help a reporter out. That is free, and you're able to use that to see what stories media members are working on. LinkedIn is great. You can also direct outreach journalists on LinkedIn. There is no database needed, and it's best for B2B and thought leadership focus. It's free. You also might want to consider using Sales Navigator as well. And then Quoted is another tool that you can use as well to pitch your story and connect with the media. For most startups, doing your own research and outreach, having a well-maintained spreadsheet actually will get you further than an enterprise tool that you don't have the team to use. And the best media outreach services for startups are built around relationship quality, not database size. So let's talk about how to pitch journalists and what actually works. There are 3 things that determine whether your pitch gets opened, read, and responded to. It's the subject line, the first sentence, and whether it's actually a story. The subject line needs to be under 50 characters. It gets cut off on mobile, and if it does, your email's dead and they're not going to read it. You should lead with the news angle, not your company name, press release, or story idea. A good subject line sounds like article headlines. Startup raises $12 million to fix enterprise expense reporting, beats company name, Series A announcement, right? The first sentence should have the news, the angle, and why it matters now. Do not start with, I hope this email finds you well, and do not start with a paragraph about your company. Journalists read hundreds of pitches a week. They get hundreds of emails a day, and if your sentence doesn't tell them immediately what the story is about and why their readers would care, you've lost them. Every journalist outreach agency worth hiring will tell you the pitch is not about you, it's about the story. So here's a template that works. The subject is news hook in under 8 words. The body is literally 1 sentence. What happened? Who it affects? Why now? Then 2 to 3 sentences, the context that makes this a story, market trend, problem being solved, data point. 1 sentence, what you're offering, exclusive interview, demo, embargo, your contact info, and a link to your press kit. That's it, under 150 words. Anything longer is a press release and not a pitch. All right, next, expert commentary, reactive pitch. For reactive pitching, jumping on breaking news stories, the template is even shorter. Subject, journalist story topic, plus expert source available. And in your body of your email, you'll say, I saw your piece on topic. And then you insert the name of your spokesperson, can speak to specific angle. You're going to want to make sure you put their relevant data and credentials. You need to say they're available today. Ask if they want an intro. That's it. Speed is everything, right? If something happens in the news, you need to be reaching out right now, and it needs to be under 50 words. One of the most common questions I get from people building their own media outreach program is, what's a good response rate? And here are the benchmarks. So cold pitch, no relationship, the average response rate is 1 to 3%. Industry average, most pitches go unanswered. Warm pitch, prior contact or referral is typically 10 to 20%. Relationship or warm intro makes a huge difference. A targeted pitch, which is beat, matched, and timely, has an average response rate of 15 to 25%, right? Then you will find the right journalist, right story, right moment. Exclusive offer, 30 to 50% average response rate. 1 journalist giving them first access to the story, highest response rate. A follow-up, one that's well-timed, will get you a 5 to 10% open rate. Now, 1 follow-up is acceptable, but typically more than that is considered spam. The takeaway here is that cold volume outreach is losing strategy. Those relationships are what you're paying for when you hire a media outreach agency, not the pitch writing, not the press release, the relationships. If you're a startup or a tech company, media relations services for tech have a specific rhythm. Journalists who cover tech are inundated. They get more pitches than almost any other beat. Here's what cuts through. Data is your currency. A proprietary stat or benchmark is worth more than any press release. Founder stories travel further than product stories in early stage. Personality drives coverage. Trade press before top tier. A strong byline in an industry publication builds credibility for the bigger outlets. Product hunt. GitHub trending and community launches generate journalists' attention organically. Use them as triggers for outreach. The best media outreach services for startups don't just pitch your launch. They build a steady drumbeat of coverage over 6 to 12 months that makes you the go-to source in your category. By the time TechCrunch covers you, 5 smaller outlets already have. That's the proof of traction journalists are looking for. Now let's talk about building relationships before you need them. The single biggest advantage a media outreach agency has over an in-house team doing it for you for the first time is existing relationships. You don't buy those overnight, but you start building them right now, even when you have nothing to announce. What you can do now is follow journalists on social media, engage with their work, share their articles, introduce them to other sources, be of value. When you eventually have a story to tell, a journalist who already knows your name is 10 times more likely to respond. That's the whole game. A media relations specialist spends years building that kind of network. So let's talk about, when does it make sense to hire a media relations specialist or a full journalist outreach agency versus running outreach yourself? So it makes sense to DIY when you're pre-product, your budget is under $2,000 and your story is still forming. You should hire a specialist or agency when you have a real story and no journalist relationships to pitch to. You've tried DIY outreach and your response rate is under 2%. You're targeting national or tier 1 tech media. Your team does not have bandwidth to pitch consistently. Services for tech usually runs $3,000 to $10,000 per month on retainer, depending on the agency and scope. Some specialists offer project-based media campaigns for $5,000 to $15,000 for a defined push. The ROI question is simple. What is one major placement worth to your business and qualify leads, investor attention, or recruiting? If you're looking to build a real media outreach program, whether that means doing it yourself with the right tools or bringing in a media outreach agency to run it for you, we offer free consultations where we'll look at your story, your target outlets, and what kind of media relations services actually make sense for your stage. Link is in the description. Next up, we're covering how to write a press release, how to build a PR strategy from scratch, and what crisis PR really costs.